the childhood attachment disorder in therapists. When it comes to therapy, delving into childhood has become fashionable. As they say, a bankrupt tradesman goes through old records. It's the same thing. 1. Childhood from 30 years ago, which has been dormant for years, doesn't suddenly give birth to psychology 30 years later. 2. Even if it's childhood, it doesn't contribute to the solution. Finding the match that started the forest fire doesn't put out the fire. 3. Our parents also had their childhoods. Why didn't they have as many psychological problems as we do now? 4. Do my videos focus on childhood? Why are they so successful? 5. Moreover, if someone is a psychologist, they should understand things directly without needing weeks of storytelling. 6. Let's say you've found the cause. It's not the father, but the mother. If the problem is from the father, does that require a different therapy? And if it's from the mother, does it require a different approach? In the end, won't the focus still be on the current psychology? 7. Listening to long stories is essentially a technique to extend therapy. Constantly making the client talk is easy and effortless. Most importantly, it hides professional incompetence and inadequacy. It turns people against their parents and fate. And it makes the specialist rich. Someone who gets 30 clients in 2 years by advertising on Instagram can buy a house and a car. I haven't listened to a story for more than 15 minutes, and I've never felt the lack of it. We continue to share the transformative model of psychologist Izzet Güllü, which has changed many lives and homes, through his book OLABİLİR. We are excited to bring this invaluable knowledge to you. It should be noted that this silent revolution actually started with psychologist Güllü's book Sen Hasta Değilsin in Turkey. We highly recommend you read this book. You can find this book in both ebook and print versions on Amazon. This book and this series will elevate the effect you experience to a higher level. Psychologist Güllü's model is based on perception, persuasion, and suggestion. Through the book, visual suggestions will be received, and through videos, auditory suggestions will be made. Thus, the subconscious will be nourished from 2 separate channels, and the suggestions effect will be enhanced. Let us emphasize that for a person, reality is what they perceive. If you perceive a mouse as a snake, it is now a snake for you. The concepts form the foundation of such a crucial perception. Psychology arises from these perceptions. The perception of a compliment creates happiness, while the perception of an insult creates anger psychology. What separates a compliment from an insult is the concept. When concepts stretch, perceptions stretch. When perception and emotions expand, the psychic weight of the phenomenon and the emotion decreases. When you call an assault harassment, the concept of assault becomes lighter, and its emotional weight fades. If you refer to theft as corruption, it creates a perception and emotion similar to a simple procedural mistake. If you call it interest, a sense of guilt emerges, but if you call it payment terms, that feeling disappears. Saying, "He is dead," makes the event feel heavy, whereas saying, "He is gone," completely changes the impact of the same event. The concept of bribery is associated with crime, while tip triggers thoughts of a gift. These examples demonstrate that perception is shaped by concepts, and when concepts stretch, emotions, and consequently psychologies, also stretch and relax. People with flexible minds have less emotional fragility and greater tolerance for problems. Therefore, they are less affected by phenomena and events. With this work, and starting with Sen Hasta Değilsin, the silent revolution will continue to accelerate. The outdated beliefs such as trauma must be searched for, we must listen to a story, we must go back to childhood, and medication is necessary will once again be shattered. So far, we have outlined the general framework. The real essence of the book begins from this point onward. Please be patient and watch this series until the end. You will see that it will be more than worth it when it's finished. Let us immediately point out that knowledge is very important. Almost everything produced in the world is the result of knowledge. However, scientific knowledge is even more crucial. As experts, we are generally required to speak based on knowledge because we are speaking in the name of psychology and under the title of psychologist. However, for one reason or another, when a psychologist speaks, only 10% of what comes out of their mouth is knowledge, and 90% is interpretation, opinion, and belief. In fact, much of it is nonsense, bordering on delusions. This warning is a professional duty because people tend to listen to us, assuming that every word coming from our mouths is scientific knowledge. They value psychologists to such an extent. They base their lives and decisions on this information and these opinions. Everything I explain in my videos and books is based on the 25 years of professional experience I have gathered. These pieces of information, perspectives, examples, and constructions are the product of my personal experiential process with its flaws and strengths. You have the right to know this reality and to value it accordingly. You should assign value and importance to this information and approach, knowing this. For these reasons and similar ones, do not unconditionally submit yourself when benefiting from psychologists. Do not elevate psychology and psychologists in your eyes. Psychology is an empty education. It is quite detached from life and reality. For this reason, I developed my own psychology model. When listening to psychologists, always strive to question them. Always remain skeptical and careful. Questioning and skepticism protect you. Ask psychologists plenty of questions to gain information and insight about their expertise. Do not pay package fees. Be particularly cautious of experts who delay the solution and tell endless stories. We have inflated psychology in our minds due to the industry's influence. As a result, these issues have multiplied. Now, we must shrink psychology in both our minds and our souls. The help you receive should serve to support this process. Of course, the appreciation is up to you, the esteemed readers. Let us not forget that if psychology becomes inflated in our minds, it will also inflate in our souls. Similarly, if psychology shrinks in our minds, it will shrink in our souls as well. Almost all psychology books use clinical concepts like major, disease, disorder, epidemiology, prevalence, acute, etc., to first inflate psychology in our eyes and then in our souls. This work will do the exact opposite. Like thousands of others, you will witness the magical transformative power of this fascinating approach with awe. Yes, so far, we've provided a general explanation. Let's remember the phrase summarizing the philosophy of our persuasion and suggestion methods: dripping water wears away the stone. The power of the dripping water is not in its force, but in its consistency. Now, let's begin the series of our videos that have solved many problems in homes across Turkey.